Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Live with David Lewis. I am your host, David Lewis. Today is Thursday, March 21st, 2024, and it's almost exactly 12 o'clock straight up noon here on the East Coast of the United States. I'm coming to you live from our corporate offices in Melbourne, Florida. I want to welcome everybody today from all over the world. We've got a lot of people logged in from a lot of different social media sites and portals. Today, we're going to talk about trial closes. The pros and cons of trial closes. So let me begin by asking some really silly questions. And question number one is, what is our goal when a customer comes to the dealership? And we all know what our goal is. Our goal is to sell a car. And when do we want to sell the car? We want to sell it today. And for how much gross? As much as humanly possible. Now, when the customer comes to the dealership, I feel that you have three primary goals that you have to accomplish. The first goal is you must find a car that they love. Period. End of discussion. If you fail in that part of the process, it doesn't matter what price you have, whether you trial close or not, you're not going to sell that person a car. So you've got to find a car the customer loves. Number two, the customer has to like you. Now, if you noticed, I didn't use the word build rapport and trust. They have to like you. They have to enjoy being around you. Their time with you has to be pleasant and non-threatening. I'm going to come back to that in a second. And goal number three is they have to want to do business at your dealership. Price does not come into play in most of our selling steps. Price comes into play at the very end, because we all know that if people find a car they love and they like you and they want to do business at your dealership, price is not that big of a factor. Now, is it a factor? Of course it's a factor. But would I pay $200, $400, $600 more to buy from someone I want to buy from at a dealership I want to buy at? Of course I would. But always keep in mind, we're past COVID. There's plenty of inventory out there. So if you have a car that I like, but I don't like you, I will go somewhere else. If you don't find the car that I love, but I like you, I will keep shopping. So the goal is find the car they love, get them to like you, and get them to want to do business at your dealership. Now, when people walk into our dealership, we have to agree and understand that most people are very, very defensive. They are scared. So I have another question for you. Should the customer be scared of the salesperson? And most of you are going to say no. And are they scared of the salesperson? And the answer is yes. They are petrified of you. Why? You're an expert. You're a professional car salesperson. And your job is to sell them a car. You see, you have two different agendas. I said this a second ago. You want to sell a car now, today, and for as much gross as possible. And the customer, well, they want to buy it when they're ready to buy the car, and they want to pay as little as possible. So they come in very defensive. Now, when they come in defensive, it also means they come in with a game plan. They know what we're going to say, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. They know our sales steps. Why? Because we've been following the same steps for 40, 50 years. Every time I go into a dealership or I meet with salespeople, I ask them, why should I buy a car from you? And it's ironic. They all say the same thing. They say, I've got a great product, a great selection, a great dealership, great price. We're family owned. We're community oriented. But that's what everybody says. So what sets you apart? Well, the only thing that truly sets you apart is you and how you deal with that customer. So if you sound and act like every other salesperson out there, well, guess what? Selling the car is going to be a struggle. It's going to be difficult, and you're not going to make a lot of gross. Now, I don't know about you, but I like to have fun. I just do. I don't do anything at my age today if it's not fun. Now, I love what I do for a living. I love training. I love the automobile industry. I've been blessed in this industry, and I have a lot of fun doing that. And if you love selling cars, then have fun. Enjoy yourself. If you're applying pressure to a customer, This can't be fun. And if it's not fun for you, then it's not fun for them. So now we get into this thought of trial closes, the pros and cons of trial closes. There's the old saying of the ABCs of selling, always be closing. But you know what? If you're always closing, you're always making somebody more defensive. When that customer comes onto the lot, your job, other than the three things I talked about before, is to lower their defensive posture. The lower you get it, the better you are. So obviously, you all know where I'm going with this. I am not a fan of trial closes at all. And I've had some very heated debates and discussions with a lot of my close friends in the car business. There are some that truly believe in them, and I respect your opinion. But now let's say the customer comes into the dealership and they are very defensive. And I, as a salesperson, have done a great job. I've, walked the inventory, found a car they loved. We talked about the car. We went on a 30-minute demonstration drive. We had a great time while doing so. And I slowly released those defensive postures. We came back. I did a walk around of the car. And now comes the point in time where we've been asked to do that trial close. And there's so many different trial closes. Of course, the popular ones are, if we can come together in terms and numbers, are you ready to buy a car today? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, how would you rank the car? And what you have to understand is all these do is apply pressure. So you've worked so hard to release these defensive postures. And now you ask those questions, and it just reactivates the pressure in these people's mind. It's like, okay, here it is. There's where the close comes. Now, let's talk about these trial closes. If we can come together in terms and numbers, would you buy a car today? Well, who would not buy a car today if they found a car they love, they like you as a salesperson, they want to do business at your dealership? Of course they would buy a car today. Price, if you gave me the right price, of course I'd buy the car today. And then we got the situation of, if we can come together, a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, how would you rank this? I would tell you a 6 or 7. Why? I wouldn't want to give you too much ammunition. And then you come back with, well, what will it take to make it a 10? And I come up with something silly and stupid. And let's ask ourselves this. If you ask that trial close, if we can come together in terms and numbers, would you buy the car today? And I said yes. Would I have bought the car regardless of whether you asked the question or not? Of course I would have. I was already sold. I said yes. If we can come together in terms of numbers, I'll buy the car today. But if you didn't ask that question, and then we went to negotiate the price of the car, I would still say yes if we came together in terms of numbers. So what benefit are we getting out of that? But now let's reverse it. Now let's say that I say no. No, I'm not ready to buy the car today. Now, maybe I was, and maybe I'm lying to you. Why? Because I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm defensive. So what do most salespeople do? Now you start overcoming that objection on the lot. If we can come together in terms and numbers, you ready to buy the car today? And I say no. And you ask, why? And I might say to you, well, I'm not ready to buy a car today. You're the first dealership we've been to. We still want to look at this, and this. Now you've made the situation even worse. And that might not have been the truth. Maybe I might say to you, I need to talk to someone about this, or whatever it may be. Now you're escalating the defensive posture. You're creating other objections. And what happens is, if you are like me, when people say no to me, I get defensive. That's my nature. I think it's most of us. We're type A personalities. And now we start getting more aggressive, and we want to know why. And let's take this a step further. So now the customer said no. So now they came in, they were defensive. We lowered them. We asked the trial close. They said no. We started to overcome it. We made them redefensive. Now we go inside, we sit down at our desk, we get our information, and we go to our manager. And our manager asks, are they buying the car today? And I say no. And they say, why? And I say, well, they told me they're the first dealership we've been to. And now my manager's upset. So now I've got a customer in control that's agitated. I got me as a salesperson that's frustrated. And now I got a manager that doesn't want to give prices because he knows they're going to go shop. And who created that environment? We did. When did we create that environment? When we asked the trial closing question. It just doesn't make sense. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, how do I know if I'm on the right car? Well, if you've been with this customer for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, you should know. You've walked the lot. They've selected the car. They've driven the car. You've been with them. You've had great dialogue. Do you really think somebody's going to go that far without giving you some comment that they don't like the car? Now, can it happen? Of course, anything can happen every time. There's always situations that happen. But for me personally, I want that customer's defensive posture in the lowest possible state when we walk in to sit down at my desk to negotiate price. I want it so low that when I come out and I give the price, I only want to hear one of two things. I want to hear, yes, I'll buy the car, or I want to hear no with an objection, such as the price or payment is too high. Because I don't know about you, but when somebody says to me the price or payment is too high, fireworks go off in my head because I know I'm going to close a deal because they're telling me they want to buy it. They just want to negotiate the price. And I understand that. So again, I think my thoughts are very clear. I'm not a fan of it. Now, I'm not going to say that what you're doing is wrong because some of you use trial closes and you use them very, very, very effectively. Me personally, I'm not a fan. Now, I see a bunch of questions because I'm not going to chat very much today. I got a question coming in here from, if I can read, from Denise. She says, I'm a relationship builder here and then lifelong business, not one-time sale. And Denise, I agree with you. I'm a relationship builder too. But if you're building relationships with your customer, you're not doing that by making them defensive. She goes on to say, unless the value is built into the vehicle of interest, it doesn't matter what the number is. You're absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. Let me see, another comment here is our industry is focused on selling cars. We missed profound opportunities, a pretty long one. Of course, selling a car is critically important. However, customer sentiment is so low about the current tactics of the car buying experience. And Stephen, I agree with you. It is low. Again, do people trust us? No. And I always ask this, would you trust you? I mean, I know, who do you make the most amount of gross on? Somebody you know, and they know that. So we have to create an environment where it's different, it's unique, it's inspiring. Listen, you've all had this happen. You get a customer, you go through the process, you sell them a car, and they're ready to take delivery of the car 2 hours later, and you're walking out to do the final delivery, and they turn to you and they state, we had no intention of buying a car today. Man, that's the sweetest words to my mouth. It means I did something. I sold something. I got another question coming in. My manager wants to know if the customer is buying the car or not before he'll give us numbers. And you know what? That's a shame. Okay. Now, I'm going to say something that a lot of managers might be upset with me at. And that's okay. I'm a big boy. I'll take it. If I ever went to the desk and my manager asked, are they buying a car today? I would say, absolutely. As long as the numbers work, they're buying the car today. I want my manager in a strong, positive mood. What else we getting coming here? How am I going to know if I'm on the right car or not? Well, I talked about that a second ago. If you do the proper steps in the sales process, you're letting the customer select the car. See, that's why I'm a big fan of the inventory walk. A big inventory walk. I never ask too many questions in my qualification step. I only want to know new or used. No one ever lied to me about that. And then I like to know coupe, sedan, minivan, utility vehicle, or truck. And nobody ever lies to me about that. And if they say they want a new truck, I take them out to the lot and I show them all the trucks. I let them walk up and down. And then I ask them if they want to sit in one. And if they say yes, I ask them which one. And now they've just selected the truck that they want. All right, let me take one more question here. What are your thoughts on trial closes during the demo drive? Oh my gosh, absolutely opposed to that. That is the worst time to be asking any questions. The demo drive is all about the customer. It's about the customer experiencing it and creating a stronger mental ownership of the car. So I have a philosophy, and a lot of you have heard this. Little children should be seen and not heard. Salespeople on a demo ride should be silent until spoken to. I want the customer to control the dialogue. That's very important to me. Let the customer ask the questions. Now, if the customer asks me, how long have I worked here? And I say, 10 years, I might ask them, so what kind of work do you do? Or if they ask me, where do you live? And I say, 10 miles from the dealership, where do you live? So I can still get questions asked, but I want the customer to control the dialogue during the drive. Don't ask the customer, who's the first person you're going to show your new car to? Where's the first trip you're going to take in your new car? Can you see this car sitting in your driveway? None of that stuff is of value at this point in the process. Remember this. All you're doing is making the customer more defensive. The more defensive they are, the harder it's going to be to sell the car. So, summarize, as you all must know now, I am not a big fan of trial closes. I'm a fan of a value presentation. Let's get to the situation where we can ask for the sale, create they love the car, they love you, they love the dealership. ask for the price, present the price, and then ask for the sale. Those are my thoughts. Those are my 2 cents. I hope I gave you a little bit of stuff to think about, because if I do have you thinking, then I've done a great job today. So until next time, good luck, everyone, and thanks for joining me.